Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. Thursday, April 30th. We come to the end of April, guys. We're now going into May. So crazy, crazy, crazy. Hope everybody has had a good week so far. Thank you guys for joining me again for another live stream, the Real Estate Brief on the Real Estate Advantage. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it greatly. Give everybody a little bit of time to settle in. Takes a little bit for everybody to kind of tune in. Those on TikTok and stuff, thank you for being here as well. Do greatly appreciate it. Grab your coffee, guys. Today, it's funny. I usually get a lot of articles and stuff. I gotta be honest, not much is kind of happening. I've actually skipped over some articles just because it was like articles we've been talking about. The whole news cycle in the real estate world right now is literally all about private listing networks and mergers and acquisitions and all that kind of stuff. And I have just, to be honest, it's just nothing new. It's kind of like I just didn't want to talk about it today, so I skipped those articles. So before I get into what I'm going to be talking about today, though, let me tell you a little bit about the show. So this is a live stream I do. Typically, I try to do it Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. But I'm full time in real estate. Running a brokerage and company and stuff, and helping agents succeed and that kind of stuff. That takes priority. That I'm going to be front and center with my own agents before anything else. So sometimes I cannot do a live stream, but my goal, the typical schedule is Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So this week I missed yesterday, had a meeting yesterday morning, couldn't do that. So this will be the last live stream for this week, and then we'll pick back up next Monday. Basically what I do here, if this is your first time here, what I do is I invite you to kind of to join me in my morning routine of reading. And my camera on TikTok is acting crazy. Like, look how zoomed in I am now. You guys can see me so close. I don't know what's going on. It's messed up. Hold on just one second, everybody. I think what it is, I think it's my hat. I think my hat itself is causing the problem. Well, I might not be able to live stream on TikTok today because I cannot get this camera to work, and you do not want to see my lips this close. So if you are on TikTok, you guys can join me over on my YouTube channel. Sorry, I don't want to pull you away from the platform you like to use, but the camera is acting really weird, and I can't adjust it. It won't let me do it while I'm live. So if you are watching me here, I'm going to be switching over to just to YouTube. So TikTok guys, you can join me on YouTube. Go search me out, Real Estate Advantage there, log on there. And so can't get my camera to work on TikTok. Sorry, guys. Let's see. There we go. Okay. All right. Good thing I hadn't started yet. It's so funny. Is like those watching on TikTok, it zoomed in like right into my mouth and nose, like right here. I think what happened is the camera locked onto the logo on the hat, and then it zoomed in on the hat, and so then it once my face moved. So it's funny. That's great. So anyway, so what I do here is I invite you to kind of come along with me, read through the news, talk about real estate, and I kind of give you my observations, that kind of stuff. And then I love chat, so I like people talking to me in the chat, interrupting me. That's perfectly fine. I like the engagement, so feel free to do so. Join me in conversing with me on there. So anyway, with all that being said, today, what we're going to be talking about is more things specifically for agents, kind of helping you guys think through some things for marketing sake, some AI stuff. So there's 4 articles. One is just for fun. The last one we're going to do is just for fun. But the first one we're going to go through is NARrealtor.com, nar.realtor. Yeah, nar.realtor. It's about change agents. It says using data to build trust. And it's a conversation it's a breakdown of a conversation that economist Lawrence Yun had with Danielle Hale. So it was a good conversation. It's just kind of a breakdown about that. So things to get us thinking about data and how that correlates to our jobs and how to use it. Then I'm going to go through an article that I really liked this morning. I was reading through it, and it's all about farming properties. So it says farming done right, low cost ways to dominate your neighborhood. This was written by Daryl Davis. And then we're going to read an article here by PR Newswire, which is on Yahoo Finance. And it says new AI tool aims to help real estate agents predict their next listing. So I'm kind of curious about what this is. I've not researched the tool. I just been keeping my finger on the pulse a little bit about AI and what it's doing. And this seems like an area where AI could kind of change the way we find properties to list. And I skimmed through this article and I thought, well, that's kind of good. I'm going to read through this one. And then the last one we're going to go over, and this is just for fun, is LA Mega Mansion poised to become America's first $400 million home, smashing ultra luxe real estate market forever. So it's got pictures, kind of talks about it. I thought it'd be kind of cool to end the week just looking at this massive property that is coming on the market and looking at how crazy nice this thing is. And just, if you're a real estate fan, I think you probably would enjoy this. Look at this home. It's impeccable. So we'll end there. All right. With all that being said, stage is set. Let's go ahead and jump into the actual show. Welcome to the Real Estate Brief. I'm Adam. Today, we're cutting through the noise. We're going to get to the truth in the news, look at the data, and I'm going to give you some of my observations and where I believe you can find opportunity. So if you're ready to gain your real estate edge, let's dive into our very first story. And this very first story we're talking about today is going to be coming from the actual NAR's website, the National Association of Realtors website, specifically inside of the real estate news. And it is titled Change Agents Using Data to Build Trust. So this is written, I'm not sure who actually wrote this. Let's see, Erica Christopher. Erica Christopher is the product manager for NAR Realtor News. So that's who that is. So Erica, thank you so much for the article. Not really a long deep dive. It's actually a video. You can go back and watch the video. And they have a great conversation. Dr. Lawrence Yun is right there on the left, and then Danielle Hale is on the right. Both have been pillars in the industry for so many years. Danielle has done all kinds of training, been involved for a long, long time. And then Dr. Lawrence Yun, as long as I can remember, he's been the economist for the National Association of Realtors. So that's their roles, and they've been doing it for a very long time. All right, so this article talks about change agents using data to build trust. Economist Lawrence Yun and Danielle Hale share how to turn housing trends into clear, practical guidance for clients. The thing we want to know here too, and I talk about that a lot here on this show, is the data tells us the story. It helps us to understand what's actually going on in the market. It also helps us to understand where the opportunity rests. Now, a lot of agents and a lot of people in general do not like just to go in and read a bunch of reports. They don't like to look at that kind of data. So I try to make it a little more engaging, have a little more fun with it, but yet at the same time, show you the data. But I will say it's so important to stay in that data because it tells you and shows you what's actually happening. So just keep that in mind. And that's kind of what they're getting at here. It says, understanding today's housing market takes more than numbers. It requires making sense of trends in a way clients can act on. That was a central theme in the latest episode of Realtor News Change Agents podcast, featuring two leading industry economists, the National Association of Realtors, Lawrence Yun, and Realtor.com's Danielle Hale. Hale, who previously spent nearly a decade at NAR, now leads research at Realtor.com, where she combines listing data with consumer behavior insights to better understand market trends. Quote, she says this, at Realtor.com, because of our long-standing relationship with NAR, we show all of the listings from agents for free on our site, and that enables us to draw a really large consumer audience, Hale says. We've got the listing data, and then we can also marry that with the consumer data that's really powerful. That combination allows her team to track not only how homes are priced, but also how buyers are responding and even where demand is coming from. Those are very key metrics. It says if you're in the DC market, one of the key metrics that you want to track is knowing where your migration is happening. Like, where are people moving out of your city to, majority, like what do those areas look like? And then where are people moving from? Those are two metrics that help you know where to kind of tailor and build relationships with even other realtors. And it's kind of to be honest, a missed opportunity for a lot of agents that don't go down that road a little bit and work on building relationships. And this is where I would say like going to conferences and things like that are very important. I think if you can go to conferences that bring all those people together and you're networking and trying to engage with people from those areas that you are getting business from or sending business to, you can build a relationship and build a pretty good, solid referral business. And I think it's kind of a missed opportunity because you, in some ways, you almost think like it's such a broad net. Like, what's the chances that the agent I talk to is going to send me business? And that's true. It's like what, 1 in a million, right? I talked to this agent at this conference, and then they send me a lead, and I might close it. It's a very small percentage of chance. But here's the thing: the more you are marketing yourself to agents in that area, if those agents do use you, and you close a deal and you have success, then two things are going to happen. Is that realtor in that area is going to tell the agents in their own office. So you're going to get a referral-based system, just like we would do with an actual client locally. They're going to talk about you, talk about how you represented them. And since it's an area that most of your buyers are coming from, then they're going to recommend you to send more people your way. So that could grow there as well. And at the same time, if that same agent you're using is highly involved in the local board or have great relationship across the aisle with other brokerages, they will also talk, because those brokerages are referring people. They'll say things like, I've got a really good agent that's in that area that I refer to, and they've closed deals for me. So it starts off really small, but it can quickly become a snowball. So don't just dismiss it just because it seems like it's not going to be, immediate results from it. I think you're playing the long game when you do something like this, and it's a missed opportunity. At the same time, when you go to conferences and stuff like that, you're learning, you're around other people. It's invigorating. It teaches you something, and you start making connections and start doing more. So anyway, that's one of those metrics to track. It says turning complex data into simple stories. For help, data is only as valuable as the way it's communicated. I really wanted to make sure that I was writing articles in a way that people could understand, she says, recalling early feedback on her work. It has to be something that they can understand and grasp quickly. And this is true. Like a lot of times I could fall into this trap. I will start talking about data and it gets really boring. And I can tell the people I'm talking to is like, okay, they're kind of toned out. So that is very true. It's hard to kind of go over this kind of stuff. And I think the whole idea, what she's trying to say here is correlating the data into just a simple term that makes sense in like the real world. Like, how does this data that we're reading interpret itself into what we actually experience as agents and our consumers are going through? And that really does help to frame that data a little bit better. That mindset is especially important for real estate professionals who often explain complex economic concepts to clients and potential buyers and sellers. Yoon pointed to a common example: clients waiting for the Federal Reserve to cut rates. And he goes on to say, Hale says this, quote, "The Fed matters, but it doesn't set mortgage rates." And this is true. So like Yoon pointed to a common example: clients waiting for the Federal Reserve to cut rates, is they don't understand. Like, the consumer and the media and stuff like that will run articles talking about, the Fed rate, the Fed cut their rate, all these type of things. And people don't really realize, and they don't understand, that the Fed rate and mortgage rate are two very different things. Sometimes they correlate, but not always. And explaining that in simple layman's terms on how those correlate and what that looks like will basically positions you as the person of authority, but it's also helping the consumer understand what is actually going on in the market. Instead of overwhelming clients with information, Hale focuses on delivering one key insight. She asks herself, what does this mean for a home buyer in the market? What does this mean for someone who's renting and thinking about buying a house? So in some ways, this is a good thought exercise, really. When you read data, you're putting that data into the context of the buyer or seller or tenant or whatever, and how does this information help that person? And I can see how that could actually help. If you're thinking through the way I'm going to articulate this information in this data to somebody that's in that position, how would I frame that conversation? And it's not going to be that I just quote off the data and try to explain it in long, drawn out terms. It's going to be more or less, I'm going to try to make it relatable. And so that's where if you're an agent out there posting on social media, talking about rates and all that kind of stuff, I think that's a good way to kind of go into that and make it more conversational. I think that would be a very cool thing to do. Generational trends and market realities. The conversation also explored findings from NAR's 2026 Home Buyers and Sellers Generational Trends report. I covered that, I think, a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week. including the continued dominance of baby boomers in the housing market. With many boomers holding significant equity and little to no mortgage debt, they are less sensitive to current interest rates. Millennials, on the other hand, face a different set of challenges. Hale quotes this: "They may be looking for more space, but they have that consideration of how am I going to finance that additional space?" Despite those differences, Hale emphasized a key takeaway: real estate is important to both generations. So, and it is, we can't. They're just two very different scenarios. If you use those two as a conversation point, it's like, yeah, the millennial section, they have a completely different needs because affordability is pretty broad and difficult right now. But then we start talking about the baby boomers, and I talked about this, I think, last live stream, and I've talked about it multiple times, is the baby boomers are beginning to change. That demographic is either downsizing or remodeling or upsizing because people are moving, their kids are moving back into their house. So there's all kinds of crazy dynamics going on with the boomer generation that is making it to kind of come out to be a very large opportunity for a lot of real estate agents. The baby boomer is one of the largest generations of all time, and they're getting older. So then the next 10 to 15, 20 years, you're going to have this massive change of wealth in real estate where those homes either come on the market or there's shifting going on all inside of that generation. But they have a completely different need. These trends and these conversations that we're having about interest rates and what's going on in this data means something completely different to the boomer than it does the millennial. And understanding the two and tailoring conversations to each is very, very important. The discussion also touched on long-term wealth implications. According to Hale, timing matters when it comes to home ownership. Households that buy a first home around age 30, instead of waiting until closer to 40, accumulate more equity by the time they get to midlife, she says, noting that this can translate to more than $100,000 of additional net worth. And this is absolutely true. And if anybody's listening out there and you're renting, you're losing net worth. Every single time a month goes by, you're losing net worth for your future retirement and all those plans. So now's a good time. Don't delay. You need to buy because you're paying towards something. If you're renting, you're buying a house for somebody else. That's just the reality. Tools to navigate a fragmented market. It says to help simplify increasingly complex conditions, Realtor.com launched Market Clock earlier this month, a new tool designed to give a quick snapshot of market dynamics. Quote, "The goal of the tool is really to make it easy to summarize what's happening," Hale says. "Sometimes you can have all of this information, but if you can't pick out what it means, that's not really useful." You noted that tools like this and NAR's own Realtor Property Resource, our RPR, if you guys are not using that in your Realtor, I encourage you to go check that platform out. It does give you some really helpful data. It can help agents build one of the most important elements of their business, and that is trust, because you're using data to validate what you say. And that's very, very crucial. Part of that trust, I think, comes from agents who are realtors being able to explain economic data, housing market data, and what's going on, Yoon says. Now, I've not actually checked out the market clock, so let's just do that. I'm gonna open this in a new tab. I'm just kind of curious on what this looks like. Market clock, the Realtor.com market clock shows whether buyers or sellers hold a negotiating advantage in your local housing market and how that leverage is shifting. Updated monthly, the market clock helps buyers and sellers align their expectations with local conditions and approach the market from an informed perspective. So market clock. So let's see if I can zoom in just a little bit, make that a little bigger for everybody. There we go. Okay, right now it just defaulted to Cincinnati, Ohio metro area. It says balanced market. The market is healthy and fair with both buyers and sellers confident in their decisions. Seller, be flexible and expect moderate selling times that are likely to grow. Buyer, you will feel like you've gained an advantage as the playing field evens out. So they're putting it as a balanced market. This is not, I'm not surprised on this. This is probably gonna be very common across the country because of the shift that's kind of taking place. A little bit of I'm gonna say I say probably just more of a pivoting in the market, to be honest. So that shows you that. That's cool. You can put your zip code in and see what that looks like. And that's basically all it is. I was expecting a little more data than that. We have 2025. See, this is like where I said it's like 2025 and 2026 are so similar, and it really is. It looks like 2024 was late sellers market in Ohio, in Cincinnati, early sellers market, late sellers market. Kind of interesting to see what we go. Yeah. So Yeah, I would have expected more data, but hey, it gives you a quick little snapshot. Knowledge as a competitive advantage. For agents looking to stay informed, Hale recommends keeping it simple and consistent. I do a weekly video update on YouTube. It's just 3 minutes. It's a very quick way to get a recap on what's happening in the housing market. Ultimately, both economists agree. In a fast-moving, fragmented market, knowledge isn't just helpful, it's essential. Knowledge is power. Knowledge gains you the trust, Yoon says. Where's my mouse? So, yeah, I one of the things I would encourage many people to do is, many agents, go into your MLS and you can find out just the simple basic things like average selling price, how many days on the market, what's the expiration report, all the kind of small little data metrics that you can pull. You can pretty much every week or at least once a month do a short minute video like she recommended, like a 3-minute video, just talking about the market. Like just talking about it in general in your local area based on your MLS information about what's going on. And given, yeah, sure, in different cities, there's different areas that might have a different, price per, average price. But if you talk about it in general terms, I would end that video with simply saying things like, if you want more specific in your actual subdivision, feel free to reach out. I can tailor this down to fit your area if you'd like to know more about that. You can make it a quick, simple ask to gain some, maybe some business from that. But what is simple video to record that provides value back to the consumer? And if you think about the person sitting on the fence trying to decide to buy or sell, that information is very relevant to them. And you're answering that question. So like, can I afford? What does it look like? You're just quickly doing that, but you're positioning yourself as the person with the knowledge. So I think that's very, very good. This report here, this is if you're a realtor, you have access to all kinds of reports inside of NAR, okay? And this is the equity-rich buyers, sellers are driving today's housing market. And there's a link to this right here. This link right here says 2026. Oops, I don't have my screen shared. This is the link right here. So in NAR, equity-rich buyers, there's a link right here that says 2026 home buyers and sellers generational trends report. And you can download this report and take a look at this. And this report gives you a ton of information. I think it was like over 100 pages long. I mean, it is an extremely detailed report. I went over kind of a brief synopsis of this, I think last week. But you can kind of see the largest generation of buyers, 42% younger and older boomers combined. Highest share of multi-generational buyers is 19% is Gen Xers. Highest share of single female buyers, 35% Gen Zers. Most racially diverse generation of buyers, number one is Gen Zers. It says the highest median household income of buyers was $132,700, which is older millennials. You can kind of see how this report can give you so much information. And if you're a member, you can log in and download this report for free. And I encourage you to do it. You can go through that and pull out all kinds of posts that speak directly to the consumer and provide value. And if you combine that with what Danielle Hale was saying about, basically making it kind of in story form and explaining it in very layman's terms to help them understand how this relates to them, it's going to get even more traction. So just think through that. I thought this was a good way to kind of talk about data, because I go through data all the time and it can get very boring. So I thought it was good. And now I'm going to jump to another article, and we're talking about farming subdivisions, like how agents should farm subdivisions. But as I go through this next article, I do want you to think about the data. I want you to think about what we just talked about, information as far as how we use data, because I think, and I just skimmed through this article, this next one, and what he's going to use some data to determine if a certain farm makes sense. So keep in mind that we just talked about data and the importance of that, and we're going to combine that into, like, when you're wanting to tailor it into a specific, market in your city or county or state, right? So let's jump into this next one. This next one is all about dominating a neighborhood. It says farming done right, low cost ways to dominate your neighborhood. Subheading is show up more, care more, and stay consistent when others give up. So this is an article by Inman. This is Daryl Davis, and he's going to break down how to do a local farm without costing too much money. This article is going to cut through kind of a lot of what we hear about farming and what that looks like. and how expensive that actually could get. And basically like comparing it to like when you're an agent, you're throwing out money to billboards and all this ads and buying leads and all this kind of stuff, and how really this can be highly, highly profitable for a very low expense. And if you're a brand new agent or mid to tier agent or even an experienced agent, this is relevant. Matter of fact, when I go to conference, every single time they have people come up, they ask them, how do you generate business? Most of them will say things like door knocking, farming, that kind of stuff is where they still get a majority of their business. It's because they're getting in front of people. The point of entry is almost zero, and they're consistently doing it every single day, and it brings results. So it's still working. The branding you do on, billboards and social media and all that kind of stuff gives you a brand, but you can't necessarily say that that generates all your business. It's a great way for people to kind of see you're out there, that maybe you're not touching, but when you're going into a farm, a specific area to farm, that has a completely different outcome. Okay. Let's jump into this article here. Daryl Davis, he says, there is a gold mine sitting in your backyard, literally. In real estate, we call it your farm. Yet most agents treat it like a garden they meant to plant but never got around to. They spray a postcard here, knock a door there, and then wonder why they never seem to own their neighborhood. The truth is that farming is not complicated. It is simply about showing up so consistently that when anyone on those streets thinks about selling, your name is the only one that comes to mind. So when you're out farming, the argument he's making, and I would agree with this, I've seen this time and time again, is you are trying to make a touch and implanting you as their realtor in their minds consistently so that when they do think about selling, they can only think of you. So that consistency is key. It says the great news is that dominating a neighborhood does not require a massive marketing budget. It requires commitment, creativity, and a clear strategy. So we need commitment. Basically, every single day, you're going to wake up and say, I am committed to doing this. It is the way I'm going to build my business, and I'm going to keep showing up for it. I'm going to be a little creative. I want to do something that sets me apart from somebody else. So a little creativity. And I'm going to have a very clear strategy. And that's where that data is going to come in. Like, how do I pick my area? And then how many touches do I make? And being diligent and developing a really strong strategy on how you do that. All right. He goes on, choose a farm that actually makes sense. And then I see this a lot. People go out and they think that the subdivision they're looking at doing is the one they want because it's got nice homes, everything's beautiful, and I would love to sell homes in that area. But is that the right area? It says the first mistake agents make is picking a farm that is too large or too random. A good farm is typically between 200 and 500 homes. Any smaller, and you limit your income ceiling. Any larger, and you spread yourself so thin that your present barely registers. Ideally, you want a neighborhood where you already have a connection. So you're looking for a past sale, a current client, or a genuine familiarity with the community. So he's making a good thing here, 200 to 500 homes. And a lot of times agents will say, well, I'm going to farm this subdivision. Well, if that subdivision is too small or it's way too large, then you need to segment that down. If it's a really large subdivision, pick some streets that hit those thresholds, 2 to 500. If it's just one subdivision only has like 100 to 150, include a couple kind of in the general area to save time. So you might have two subdivisions next door to one another, and that becomes your farm. And then, he goes on. It's like, you don't want to just start from scratch. Like, it's like, I have no connection at all. There's nothing that I can, put myself into that market for. There's no home that I've sold. There's no previous clients in there that can validate me. There's nobody that I can specifically go to maintain a relationship with. So I think that's a good point. I think having a past sale, a current client, or even very good familiarity, and I would say maybe the subdivision you live in, right? You know it inside and out. You know everything about that. You know the amenities that are close by. You can talk it without looking and referencing anything. You know how many homes. You know everything about that subdivision, right? So that would be a good way to choose it. All right, it says, before you commit, check the turnover rate. Okay, this is one of those data points. All right, so it says divide the number of homes sold in the neighborhood over the past 12 months by the total number of homes in that area. Okay, so how many sold? How many are in the area? A turnover rate of 5 to 7% is healthy. Anything below 3% and you are farming in a drought. Pull this data straight from your MLS and revisit annually. And that's what you can do. You can search, go straight to your MLS. You can pull that information, do the math, and determine if there's a good amount of turnover rate in that subdivision. Typically what I have seen is if you go into the MLS and you pull like what the average selling price is in a certain area, maybe by zip code or whatever, and you find out what that average selling price is, then you can go peruse all those properties and those listings and be able to hone in just from that research into a subdivision that is having a higher turnover rate based on the average selling price, because the average selling price is an indicator that more homes are selling at that price than anywhere else, and that can hone you in. All right, so 5 to 7% is healthy. Anything in the 3%, he said it's just a drought. You're not going to have enough turnover to actually generate enough money. So I think that's great advice. So you're looking for 5 to 7% of turnover. Then the next point he says is consistency is the strategy. Here is the metaphor I always come back to. Farming a neighborhood is like going to the gym. Showing up a couple times a year and for a brief workout does not build muscle. Showing up consistently, even when the workout is modest, does. The same principle applies here. According to the National Association of Realtors, profile of home buyers and sellers, 66% of sellers found their agent through a referral or had used them before. That trust is built through repeated positive exposure over time, not through a single impressive mailer. Plan for a 12-month minimum commitment before you evaluate results. So do not get discouraged. If you're farming an area and you have no results, it takes time, but as long as you're consistent, you'll start seeing results. But he's saying give it 12 months. And that makes sense because you got to go through all the cycles of all the years and all the touch points, right? And that will give you a good indicator if you're making good headway there. Agents who abandon their farm after 90 days are the ones who leave the treasure on the table for someone more patient. Yep, you've laid the groundwork. Some other agent can come in and swoop that up. Low-cost tactics that actually work. You do not need to break the bank. It says monthly market update letter. So here's some ideas that he's going to give you as far as making touches. Because sometimes people are like, well, what do I say when I'm door knocking? What do I give them? How do I do this? So here's a breakdown that he says. Monthly market update letters. Mail a one-page market update every single month without fail. Include the number of homes sold, the median sale price, average days on the market, and the list to sell price ratio for that specific neighborhood. Now, that list, if you don't know, that list to sell price ratio tells you what homes are going on the market for. Okay, that's the 100% ratio to what it's being sold for. So if it's a 96 ratio, that means 96% is about basically simple math. If you list a house at $100,000 and if the list to sell price ratio is 96, guess what? On average, the chances of that homeowner selling that home at $100,000 is not going to happen. It's going to sell at 96, right? So that's the math. You're trying to figure out like what price could the home be listed at, and then what kind of negotiations are we looking at, and where is it settling? That's why you want to have that price to list ratio. And that's another touching point you can educate your people you're connecting with about that. Keep it clean and readable with a short paragraph at the top in plain language explaining what the number means for homeowners. This positions you as a neighborhood expert and gives residents a genuine reason to look forward to your mail. Okay, door knocking with a specific script. Do not knock doors empty-handed or without a purpose. Bring a printed market snapshot and open with this. Here's his script. Hi, I'm Adam with ABC Real Estate. I specialize in this neighborhood and wanted to drop off a quick update on what homes are selling for right now. A home 2 streets over just sold for whatever price, which may be good news for your own home's value. Do you have 30 seconds? That farming leads with value, positions you as a local expert, and invites a real conversation rather than a door slam. Aim to knock 20 to 30 doors per week. Okay? He's giving you very specific ways to do this. Doesn't this seem extremely simple, right? It's not complicated. Just sold handwritten notes. Every time a home closes in your farm, within 48 hours, hand address a note to the 20 homes closest to that sale. This has been coined as circle prospecting. Okay, so what he's describing there is farming with circle prospecting built into it. So like if you have a home that sold, you circle it and you find 20 homes or so around it to then let those homeowners know that it's sold. And his script is a home around the corner just sold for X price and it's closed in X days. If you ever been curious what your home might be worth in today's market, I would be happy to give you a free, no obligation update. Just give me a call. Okay. So handwritten note, whatever, mailing these things out 48 hours after you had the close. That's called circle prospecting. And he's right. A handwritten envelope stands out like a lighthouse. People open it, they read it, and they remember who sent it, especially in a digital world. Yeah. All right. Community event sponsorships. Sponsor or organize one community event per quarter. A neighborhood shred event in the spring lets residents safely destroy all old financial documents at no cost to them. And it costs you only the rental fee for a shredding truck, typically $150 to $300. So they're a suggestion, right? But think through community event sponsorships. Maybe you have a subdivision that has a community park and you could do a movie night in the park. You know, you could do a cookout. You can do a customer appreciation, whatever it might be, right? Block parties, whatever. Or shredding or be creative. But in other words, you're planning something that brings everybody out together so you can mingle and network, but you're also giving them something that is helpful, right? It says in October, leave small pumpkins on doorsteps with a tag from your team. In December, organize a canned food drive and post collection boxes at a few key homes. These gestures make you a neighbor, not a vendor. And that distinction is everything when a homeowner is deciding who to call. These are great ideas, guys. These are great ideas. Neighborhood-specific social media. Create a free Facebook group called something like Neighborhood Name, Homeowners and Neighbors, and invite every resident you can find. Post 3 times a week, one market update or home tip, one community spotlight, local business, event, or neighbor milestone, and one conversational question like, what's the one thing you love most about living here? Okay, this keeps your name visible every week, costs nothing but 20 minutes of your time. I would say, to be honest, I wouldn't go that route out the gate. You could, and maybe if you're really well familiar and you know people in that subdivision, fine. But if you're just starting to farm, I would just spend time more connecting and getting to know them and then start gradually building something like that too on the side. Free home evaluation offers, all that. Yeah, we kind of get that. Track every conversation. This is where people fall really, really short. You should have a quick speak script with a certain way of capturing that information in your CRM. I mean, when you learn some key information about your people living in that area, homes, birthdays, anniversaries, dogs, names, all that kind of stuff, every conversation, you need to have a place to record that. So when you are engaging with that person, you're going to their door to knock on the door, you can use their names when you're talking to them. You can ask them how their kids are doing, how their dog's doing, and whatever it might be. That is a great personal touch. You lean heavily into your CRM. Lean heavily into that. The mindset that makes the difference. The agents who truly dominate their neighborhoods are not necessarily the ones with the slickest materials or the biggest postcards. They are the ones who genuinely care about the people who live there. They see their farm as a community they serve, not a list they mine. That shift in mindset changes everything from the way you knock on doors to the way you write your marketing updates. Farming done right is not about spending more. It is about showing up more, caring more, and staying consistent when others give up. The neighborhood you choose today can become the most reliable source of business you have ever built if you're willing to tend to it. I have seen this time and time again, that farming, circle prospecting, all of those type of things work extremely well. What I've also seen many, many times is agents overthink it all of the time. And then they get nervous and then they do it for a little while. They don't see the result. They quit doing it. It is a long-term play that does give dividends. You just have to keep doing it. Don't back away. Now, what I would say here is to break this down. He gave you very key, very simple things, but think of it doing something like this. Okay, why not say I'm going to do 20 doors, maybe a 20-20-20 rule or something. I'm going to do 20 doors. I'm going to do 20 calls or social media touches, and I'm going to do 20 handwritten notes in your farm. Okay, so a 20-20-20 plan. And maybe you cycle that every single month. Okay, so you're farming your thing. You figure out 20-20-20 ways that you can do this in your farm every single month. All right, so that way you're being consistent. Try to break this broad perspective down a little bit more to kind of not wear yourself out and not take up all your days doing this. So I would just start off very conservatively and then kind of grow from there. Tailor your scripts and how you handle certain conversations and what your end goal is. get into the data, find your property. Like he kind of said, it's like that average days on the market, the average selling price, knowing what the turnover rate, looking for that 5 to 7% turnover rate is very key. It's like you don't want anything below 5, really. At that point, you're just not gonna have enough turnover to generate enough business. So finding that subdivision in that area to farm is crucial. I think this is just a very cheap way. So if you're a brand new agent, I would be doing this all day long. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? All right, what time is it? All right, yeah, perfect. Okay, so this next one, I don't know anything about this. I just saw it, and to be honest, this article is not about the product itself. It might be an amazing product. I don't know anything about it, but it's the concept behind the product that intrigued me. It's the part where AI is helping real estate agents predict where their next listing is going to come from. And this goes back to a whole entire conversation I'm having about internally and even here about how AI is changing the landscape on the way we even perform just general searching as well as inside of real estate. And the scenario I'll give is a very simple one. Is back in the day, if you wanted to go find a property, you would go to, maybe a realtor. If you go really far back, you had to go in and talk to a real estate agent, and they had a book and they showed you the properties. There was not like this MLS and syndication, all that was not a thing. Then it migrated to the MLS, and then MLS led to companies like Zillow, Trulia, and Homes.com and Realtor.com and all those places as portals for the consumer to access the data. So all that changing has been going on. The problem is, or the change is that now that all that data is being syndicated, it's on those sites. What's now happening, instead of like SEO, site engine optimization, trying to fluff up your site to get all these kind of, to show up highly ranked inside of Google and all this kind of stuff, that is changing. Because what's happening now, and you have experienced this, is when you go to Google, as an example, you type in a search, what's the first thing you see? The first thing you see is AI suggesting and answering your search inquiry. And then it follows with, some search results inside of that AI answer. So, and it'll use like the sources cited to give you that answer. And then you can then go click onto those sites. Less and less people are scrolling down and clicking on the actual sites themselves. Okay, so that's the process. Now what's happening though, it's now you take that generalization and that simplicity of searching for properties, and now you make it a little bit different. Because what used to be like, I might say, we use Cincinnati since that was an example earlier. I might be moving to Cincinnati. I used to go to Google and say, Cincinnati, Ohio, real estate, 3-bed, 2-bath, right? And I might just be very general in my search, and then Zillow or whatever might pop up and I can search for homes. Now people are searching like this. They're saying, I'm a family of 5. I've been relocated to Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm an accountant. My wife is a nurse or doctor or whatever. And my three kids, they go to private school, and I'm looking for a home in the $500,000 to $800,000 price range that fits my family. Notice the difference in the search inquiry. It's because what people are learning to do is ask questions and give input, because it's no longer just pulling up just general websites to go to. What it's doing is it's framing and answering that question. And so people are being trained to ask Google questions like that, and the AI then goes to work. So when you start really thinking about what AI is doing, it's searching all these different sites, pulling that information up, and then building the AI answer. So that clicking down to the bottom where the people would normally go to other websites is happening less and less. So it's no longer about trying to make your website look just perfect and have all the SEO work and all this kind of stuff. It's about everything you do. It's about the social media posts you make. It's about the reviews you get. Like a perfect example is, let's say you represented a buyer, and that buyer in the review said something along this: hey, Adam represented me extremely well. We had an issue with home inspections and septic systems or whatever it might be. He handled it flawlessly. He's a great agent. I would recommend him to anybody, 5 stars, right? That'd be awesome, right? So if I get a review like that, and someone goes to Google and they ask a simple question, I've had a really bad experience with a real estate agent. We got inspections and there's all kinds of issues, but I'm looking to move to Cincinnati, Ohio, family of 5, whatever, right? They are starting to ask these more thought-provoking questions. Because I have reviews, maybe because I did a blog, maybe because I did a video or a post on social media talking about this, guess what happens? I could increase the likelihood that I show up in the search results. Now, this is a long story to get to this article, But to set the stage about how this is actually working is crucial, because when you start talking about prediction, when you start thinking about listings and thinking about how this program, because the title of this article says, new AI tool aims to help real estate agents predict their next listing. If you understand what I was just talking about, just for simple searching for homes and what it's doing, how is it that AI and this tool can predict their next listing? Because it's doing what I was saying. It's searching the internet. It's watching what people are doing. It's understanding what they're posting on social media. And it's watching all those things. Now, little bunny trail here. If you're a real estate agent, I encourage you to be very careful what you post on social media, thinking that it's private and it's personal and only you see it. It is the internet. Everybody sees it, and especially AI sees it. And it's crawling stuff immediately. So what you post is going to be searched and indexed by AI and can quickly show up in results. Food for thought. All right, let's get into this article. It says, new AI tool aims to help real estate agents predict their next listing. Lakewood Ranch, Florida. It says Prospect Plus, the long-standing real estate marketing platform founded by Jim Morton, is introducing Listing Lens AI, a predictive intelligence tool designed to help real estate agents better identify potential listing opportunities. The platform expands the company's direct mail and digital marketing ecosystem with a more data-driven way to target homeowners who may be more likely to list. Okay, this is going to become the norm, guys. This is where we're heading. All right, quote, with AI becoming ubiquitous, we wanted to leverage it within the data space, Morton says. We asked ourselves, how can we utilize AI and build something that gives real estate agents an opportunity to target better? That question was what started it all. For Morton, whose experience spans decades across real estate, coaching, and marketing systems, the launch reflects the continued evolution of Prospect Plus's mission. He believes agents have relied too long on broad assumptions when deciding where to focus their marketing efforts. In today's market, he argues, stronger data signals are essential. Notice the theme we're talking about today. Started off with data, talked about farming, and now look what AI is doing. Okay, so these are all concepts that kind of correlate together. Now, I'm not saying I recommend Prospect Plus or I'm recommending Listing Lens AI. I don't know. I've never used either. I've never used either one of these programs. So I don't know. But it could be an extremely good product, and it might be. That's not my point. And they're reviewing it and that kind of stuff. But my whole point right now sharing this is we're thinking through this more broadly. Like, look where we're heading at, right? Check out their product. I really don't know. I think there was a link up here, not to go on another bunny trail, but I am going to. Prospect Plus. Oh, actually, okay. So I say I've not used them. I'm wrong. The moment I saw that and I see what they do here, we have used them. We have used them. It's been a while, but they have all kinds of magazines, door hangers, that kind of stuff, print materials. And then now they've got like a
Imagine knowing exactly which homes in your market are likely to sell before the homeowner even picks up the phone. Welcome to Listing Lens AI by Prospects Plus, a revolutionary tool that brings the power of artificial intelligence to real estate prospecting.
Let me know you can hear this.
We've partnered with the top data scientists to create a powerful algorithm that analyzes more than 1 million individual data points, including over 40 years of real estate transaction history, comprehensive demographic and lifestyle data.
Yeah, so look what it's doing, right? It's using data right at the gate, 40 years of real estate transaction history. It's not even saying limited, it's saying all of it, right? Comprehensive demographic and lifestyle data.
Market trends and behavioral signals. Here's how it works. Every single family home in America is assigned an AI sellability score from 1 to 1,000.
Okay.
The higher the score, the more likely it is to sell in the next 3 to 6 months. No more cold lists or guessing games. With Listing Lens AI, you target only the highest quality leads, saving you time, money.
I mean, it's straight up AI, right? It's data mining. It's pulling it all into a platform so you can read it and understand it.
In verified testing across more than 20,000 properties in 6 markets, Listing Lens identified 71% more homes that listed within.
All right, you get the idea, right? You see what's happening here. Like, this is the beginning, and this is one company kind of doing that. There's going to be more. Listing Lens AI includes a sellability score applied to single-family homes nationwide. The system evaluates extensive data sets to help predict how likely a property is to be listed within a defined time frame. Morton says traditional demographic targeting often lacks the specificity agents need, while predictive modeling offers a more focused alternative. Notice what it says. It says the system evaluates extensive data sets. See, data sets. That means it's using every form of data. So we're talking all things, right? Extensive data sets. So it's got access to a lot of data. Prospects Plus delayed broader availability of Listing Lens AI in order to validate the system through a multiple testing phases. The company began with a smaller sample before expanding testing to nearly 20,000 homes across major U.S. markets. Morton says those results reflected a clear improvement in targeting accuracy and campaign performance. According to Morton, the tool helps address one of the industry's biggest challenges: marketing inefficiency. Untargeted campaigns can waste budget without producing meaningful returns. Predictive targeting gives agents a way to focus outreach on homeowners who may be closer to listing, supporting more disciplined spending and stronger outcomes. A key differentiator is that Listing Lens AI is built directly into the Prospect Plus platform rather than operating as a separate subscription product. Agents can generate predictive lists based on geography, pair those lists with AI-informed postcard campaigns, and execute immediate or scheduled outreach within one interface. It's pretty wild. The model will continue to evolve as additional data strengthens its predictive capabilities. Okay, it's because AI is powering this thing, and as AI advances, so will this product. Prospect Plus also plans to allow agents to upload their own contact list for scoring. Wow, there you go. Extending the tool beyond geographic farming and into relationship-driven marketing. Now, understand this, that terms of service would be a thing I would be reading very carefully before I use any kind of tool like this. I'd be dissecting the fire out of that, because I'm going to upload my contacts and my list. I'm giving them data, and we already know that this is a data-rich AI. So just think through that. I'm not saying not to, but I'm saying read it and make sure it's what they do with that data. Through Listing Lens AI, Morton believes predictive intelligence will increasingly shape the future of real estate marketing, giving agents a clear understanding of where to focus and when to act. I focus on this article for the simple fact it helps us to understand what is going on in our market with AI, and how data, we talked about data, we talked about the whole idea of farming and how we use that. And now we're talking about AI and how there's a tool that helps you to use all that data to help you find and predict listings. You can see how farming and the data and this tool could help you be really good and tailor-focused, hyper-focused onto a certain market. So just very fascinating. I would say, look, check it out. I'm curious on, what the cost is and all that. I don't really know. So you get started now. No account, create one for free. I don't know what the cost is of this pricing. I guess it comes with their service. So yeah, I don't know. I'd have to get into this a little bit more. Today's not the day to do that. But check them out. Check them out. Okay, last article of the day, and we'll wrap up. This is just for fun. This one here is strictly just for fun. I'm excited. This is not a big conversation at all. Let me know in the comments what you think about this, because here we go. This is LA mega mansion poised to become America's first $400 million home, smashing ultra luxe real estate market forever. Wait till you see this house. This is so crazy. All right, let me show you this. Okay, buckle up, Bel Air. The city of Angels is once again about to rewrite the record books with a jaw-dropping mega mansion that's hitting the market with an asking price that resembles that of a big budget Hollywood blockbuster. $400 million for a residential house. If it sells anywhere near that number, this sprawling ultra-luxe estate will become the first residential property in American history to crack the 400 million barrier, shattering previous records and cementing Los Angeles as the undisputed epicenter of over-the-top wealth in the U.S., or just the major increased cost of home ownership. Depends on how you look at it. The property, a modern palace perched on prime promontory real estate, is the latest symbol of just how insane the ultra high-end LA housing market has become. Purchased for $35 million in 2010 by a group with ties to Qatar's ruling Al Thani family. The estate took 10 years to complete, according to the Wall Street Journal. Here is the first picture, guys. Boom. Look how beautiful that is. I'm going to sneeze. I'm back. Look at this house. I mean, look at the reflection pools in this artwork, which looks like, I mean, is it just me or does that kind of look like a balloon animal? It looks like a balloon animal. It's funny. Look at the trees. I mean, immaculate. I think that's an indoor pool right there. The 70,000 square foot spread in Bel Air was designed by famed architect Peter Marino and is listed for $400 million. All right, look at this. Look at this. It looks like a guest house, or maybe this is just the pool house. I don't know. And you got like a gardens area. You got the reflection pool. Oh, so this is where we were looking this way. So there's a reflection pool. So that's that weird art sculpture. Then you got the reflection pools. And I'm assuming this is an actual pool you can swim in. Maybe not. Yeah, probably is. And then another pool house. And then you got pickleball / tennis courts. All kinds of gazebos. And then the main part of the house there. Nestled on multiple acres of meticulously landscaped grounds, the LA estate boasts views to the Pacific Ocean. So they can see the Pacific Ocean from here. So there's multiple dwellings and terraced swimming pools dot the estate, high on a Bel Air promontory. Okay, yeah. Oh, so that's cool. So from that bird's eye view, you can't see that it's tiered. You know, it just looks kind of flat, but look at this. It's like multiple levels, and these are probably like walking trails and stuff. Can you imagine the maintenance to keep up with this kind of property? Whew. Man, I live on the East Coast here. I'm in Kentucky. We visit the Biltmore. We've been to Biltmore many times. And the Biltmore, if you've not been, go. It is an impressive thing. Built by the Vanderbilts. Beautiful estate. Massive amounts of gardens. The home, multiple tours you can do, whatever. But the maintenance and the cost is to upkeep this place. This property is ridiculous. They had to actually open it up to the public for tours and everything like that. Because, I mean, you can't afford to live there. It's just, it has to generate money. So I feel like this is no different. Like this would take a whole staff of people to just keep running. Wild. Look at that terrace over there. I think that is a balloon animal. That's just, I'm sorry, but that's ugly. I'm sure that probably has some meaning, but I don't know what it is. The estate's sweeping outdoor areas offer the perfect vantage point to take in the sprawling LA horizon. Who buys this house? Who? Yeah, look at the reflection pools there and look at the view. Man, can you imagine that at night? Think roughly 70,000 square feet of living space, multiple acres of meticulous landscape grounds with panoramic views from the Pacific Ocean to the downtown LA skyline, and amenities that read more like a 5-star resort than someone's actual house, which seems like that's what this should turn into. Developers and listing agents are betting big that there's a buyer willing to drop 9 figures for the ultimate trophy asset in the world's most glamorous city. Los Angeles has long been home to some of the priciest properties on the planet, but this listing represents a new stratospheric level of high-octane glamour. It's not just about square footage or number of bedrooms, though at 39 bedrooms, those numbers are eye-watering. Rather, it's about rewriting what luxury even means in 2026. Where multiple dwellings on one estate, terraced swimming pools, a multitude of kitchens, private wellness spas, museum-worthy art displays, an x-ray machine, an entertainment wing the size of entire mansions are now on the menu. Look at this right here. A sweeping entryway hints at the opulence to come in the home's ultra-wealthy interior. I mean, it's arched and everything, glass, beautiful. Gosh, look at this. Purchased for $35 million by a group with it. We talked about that, but look at this. Like, this is like an atrium thing with all this glass, and I mean, it's just gorgeous. Oh, here's the spa, guys. Check this out. A private wellness retreat is the perfect spot to get your toes tended to without ever having to step foot out of the estate. This is a resort. Modern artwork dots the estate to give it an updated vibe. I don't like that. That's my personal opinion. I don't like that. But yeah, the area is pretty. Look at the ceilings and stuff. The home offers both modern and highly decorative traditional interiors and decor. Yeah, look at the wood on the ceiling and look at the probably tile, maybe. It almost looks like tile. Come for the high-end luxury, stay for the sweeping views of Beverly Hills. Could you imagine? Okay, yeah, here's the pool area. Don't like the terrace swimming pool? Here's another one for you to splash about in. So many. Look at this big outdoor dining under a chandelier is also an option. Look at the trees and this land right here. Gosh, you could just go there. Could you imagine just sitting out there reading a book or something? The property boasts a multitude of kitchens to satisfy your appetite. Look at this full commercial kitchen. I mean, an infinity pool marks the perfect place for sundown cocktails. Yeah, could you imagine just swimming around in that, looking out over that? A tennis court with a view of Los Angeles, of course. When the sun sets, the lights of the terrace swimming pool glow in iridescent blue. Just gorgeous. Listing agents Jack Harris and Michael Fiamian of the Beverly Hills Estates dismissed the idea that the $400 million asking price creates a psychological barrier for potential buyers. It's not like we're just getting some listing in Bel Air and saying, let's put it on for $400 million to get press. Fiamian said, according to the WSJ, this is truly a $500 million investment that the family has put into the estate. Fiamian added that there was absolutely no expense spared in building the estate, which was designed so that you don't ever have to leave if you don't want to. The main house measures around 50,000 square feet and boasting 23 bedrooms. I thought it said 39. Maybe it meant 39 rooms, but 23 bedrooms. The separate it's probably because of everything. Oh yeah, okay. The separate guest house, which sits across 30,000 square feet and boasts 16 bedrooms, a gym, and swimming pool, is estimated to be worth around $75 million and is included in the sale. Oh my gosh. Whole nother mansion. The property is such a trophy asset, Harris said. It would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to replicate. One thing is certain, if this deal closes near asking, it won't just be a sale, it'll be a statement that Los Angeles remains the place where dreams and price tags go to get supersized. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I just, I can't even fathom that kind of wealth. I can't even fathom living in that house. It just blows my mind. Couldn't do it. I wouldn't mind to visit that as like a resort, see it, whatever. I gotta be honest, I would hate to live there. That's just me. I just would not like that. But to visit would be really, really cool. I would never see my family in that. That would be so sad. So anyway, well, that's today's show, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I went a little over. I'll be back Monday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, where you're watching me now. Thank you guys for being here. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. You taking time out of your day to join me as I talk about real estate news and other things going on. I don't take that for granted. Greatly appreciate it. So that is all for your real estate brief for today. If you found this helpful, please consider hitting the like button to tell YouTube you would like more of this type of content. Ring that bell as well. And consider subscribing to join a community of real estate agents that are focused on building a business that is relationship focused first. If you're watching me on Twitch or Rumble, please follow me. And I do appreciate building a community there. So thank you guys so much. There's always so much more I could be covering, but that's it for today. I will see you Monday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, take care. Have an amazing weekend.